What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of This Round's on Me. I got the esteemed, illustrious Ethan Van Sant, Man Sant on YouTube, one of the OGs of the Flesh and Blood sphere, and really carving out a name for himself with not only the consistent content, the multiple different kinds of content, but also the streaming. So it's just like you got your hands everywhere, man. It's awesome.
Dude, you laid so many labels on me. I love it. Consistent is not one I would call myself as of late. I promised that I'd be doing like 3-4 streams a week. That's been teetering. I feel so bad. But overall, yeah, it's crazy to be one of the OGs at this point. But I guess it's like almost true because I started back in like Monarch, and that's actually like almost as early as you could get as like a North American based player. You know, that's really when it took off. Crazy.
Yeah, most definitely. It seems like the amount of creators have just like exploded since that kind of like Tales of Aria time and on. There used to be just like a small handful of people making a lot of content, and then it was just like bang, 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 more and more and more. And it's pretty cool how much the game has grown. You can really see it like not only at the events, but like on the internet as well.
Well, the content creating space has always been so full of camaraderie. That's like kind of the best part of it. I don't feel much of a sense of competition. It's all been people help pulling each other up. Especially like the Twitter space is always so collaborative. When someone needs input on a video or is asking for a guest.
Yeah, for real.
Look at that. But yeah, it's been so cool to be a part of, and I just count myself lucky I even stumbled into this great game. So here we are, baby. 2-year mark. Crazy.
Wow. Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into like what got you into Flesh and Blood in the first place. Like, what was your initial like exposure to the game?
Yeah. I mean, kind of a weird one because I don't come from a card game background at all. I had a local store that I kind of became very attached to back when I lived in Michigan through my college years, and so I always deferred to the store owner and whatever he was kind of pushing as the hot item of the like whatever board game, miniatures game, card game was hot. Like he'd let me know and I'd start playing it because I didn't really have my lane. I didn't grow up playing anything other than like Yu-Gi-Oh. So I was always experimenting in different things, and ended up on X-Wing. And X-Wing in Michigan just had a huge player base. So all through my college years, I just was able to jam X-Wing like 3-4 times a week. I got so invested in the game and would travel to like nationals, worlds, like all the regional events, things like that, and got a love for like the travel aspect of a hobby from X-Wing. Like really, almost nothing else translates to Flesh and Blood. I mean, there's like kind of like list building, I guess, but just the love of travel and how international that game felt. Flesh and Blood kind of fills that same hole, honestly.
Definitely.
But X-Wing teetered off. It had some issues with sticking power. You know, it had this whole reboot into a 2.0 phase, and then it got sold to a different distributor or designer. Even went from FFG to Asmodee, and that, yeah, like it didn't quite. I don't know. People started trailing off. It still exists as a game, so it's not like dead. But the core group of people I had in Michigan that was playing it just kind of stopped. And COVID, of course, just really gave it no room to breathe. It's an in-person game. It's a tabletop game, right? So I started dabbling with some other things. I tried Pokemon, and that was really just for the fun of it. Pokemon is a game with really cheap buy-in, so I don't know. I think I built like my first deck for maybe like $80, and it was like probably the second best deck in format. Nice. So I started just showing up and jamming that. It was around the time of Cosmic Eclipse, if you know Pokemon at all. It was like the last tag team set, and I don't know, tag teams for me. A lot of people don't like them, but that's how I got into the game. So I just got used to like the giant, massive numbers on a stick, and you're you're just like basically one-shotting everything. The game was so fast-paced, it was crazy. And there's not a lot of interaction in Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Like you just don't get those turn cycles. So that was like the one hole in Pokemon for me. I liked it, but the games could be over so quick, and sometimes it felt like you didn't have much agency to do anything. So when Flesh and Blood came up as a suggestion by this same store owner, kind of saying, hey, like, this is a new game, you might want to try it out with us. It seems pretty cool. I tried it, and my first taste was Chain versus Prism, just the like pre-builts, and I got fatigued out as Chain versus Prism, and it didn't feel too good. So we ran it back, and I played Levia instead because they told me it has a better Prism matchup, and it was just awesome. Like it
Wow.
actually felt like you had back and forth, you had agency. I was interacting with their plays. I'm popping stuff, so it hooked me. It hooked me, and I bought in and haven't looked back since. The first box had a Doomsday in it, so it was just kind of set, just locked from
Wow.
then on. That was it. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
take much to go from a game that's like no interaction to a game that is all about making decisions as soon as you drop your hand and trying to figure out your windows to block, figure out your windows to, lose some tempo for Arsenal, what you're going to pitch. Like those decisions basically, at least at first, felt like the game was meant to be played slow.
Yeah.
The decks are not the highest power level, like right out the box with those like little blitz starters. So I did kind of assume the game overall was this slower, grindy, very interactive game, and like that's what hooked me.
Mhm.
And I think I've always just preferred playing decks that are in that vein. Like a mid-range deck to me is just it's why I was enthralled in Flesh and Blood. I've never enjoyed the whole I'm just going to draw my hand, ignore what you do, and just dump it. That is just not.
Yeah.
I could have stayed in Pokemon if that's what I wanted to play, So
But what's cool is like you can kind of do both still, like at a high level, which is kind of fun. Like there is like the just like draw four and just let it rip. Like attacks against me are just numbers. I'm gonna just do more.
Mm.
And then yeah, there's still like the legit mid range like setup decks. But yeah, it does feel really good like when you have something in Arsenal and you kind of like pitter patter around, like try to be smart and efficient. And then like yeah, when you get that like opportunity where like, okay, their turn was kind of weak and I have like the perfect thing in my arsenal, like I'm ready to rip, like ready to rock, and then like pop equipment at the right time. It's just like a really cool dance. And yeah, like a lot of other games, it's just like maybe a character card that's like static or has like one thing it does every turn, and then like cards in your hand. But like with the equipment and everything and like the weapons, like it just gets crazy really quick.
Yeah, like Flesh and Blood feels, for the most part, like an intentional game, not like an incidental game. You make decisions, and they can be wrong, they can be right, whatever. But you are really, it's up to how you want to play cards. Are you blocking with them? Are you playing them? Are you pitching them? Are you arsenaling them? Right, and all of that takes like real. At some point, you make your plan, you execute that plan. It's all with intent. It doesn't feel very incidental where it's just the cards just play themselves. It even for an aggro deck, like I can't say aggro decks are even played that way. You do have to look at your hand, make sure it's the right hand that can use his action points well, push the right amount of damage, whatever. And you still have to make decisions. It's not quite a vomit experience of just dump your hand.
That's true.
And that's what's so cool about Flesh and Blood is everything's done with intent. And the discussions around like some smaller choices that you can get in with high level players is incredible. Like there's not necessarily a clear right choice all the time.
Yeah.
Because you can be factoring in so many things. And maybe it's all for naught. Maybe you're playing for some bluff your opponent like doesn't even have,
Yeah.
But it's a fun game,
It's really cool and like kind of satisfying, even when you lose, where it's like I'll be in an armory and it'll be like one turn where it's like, oh, I could have done like one more if I like did this slightly different, like the same stuff, same resources, same cards. If I just did this instead of this, I would have done one more. And then you like 15 minutes later lose the game by one. You're like, oh, it's like that. It's like that important sometimes, It's crazy. It really is like a cool journey to like kind of not just build a deck, but like you also just have to like play it, because like those things will come up where like you left one on the table 15 minutes ago and then it comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, I love hearing even high level players analyze the game and they're like, if I could have found one more damage, that's how you know how good when it's that close, when it really is about that singular one digit that was missing. That's good fab. That is such good fab. And I've been loving it. I feel like recently I've been getting back to a lot of good Flesh and Blood. The draft experience for Monarch for me has been just a reminder of how razor thin some games can be. And I don't know, like on stream recently, right? I've just been spamming draft games, and of course, I'm partial to Levia.
Mhm.
But it's a format where the games really tend to be so close. And since I joined with Monarch, it's like such a wholesome experience. I've been loving it. Have you been playing any like Monarch draft stuff recently, or you waiting
Not
get that
recently.
practice in later?
Yeah, I did play some Monarch Draft in San Jose. Well, it was like pre-con, but it was like commoner. But I did a Monarch First Draft.
Ooh,
That was kind of fun. Just, you never know which might pull, but I think I went
anything
with
spicy? No, no.
no. It was like a cold foil
Uh,
helmet or something. Like the common helmet. But it's a good draft format when you do have games like that. I drafted Levi as well, and it's cool. Like the meat axe is decent. Fill out that
mm,
graveyard, and then you can let other stuff rip later in the game, and you try to survive for like if you only have like one red Drudge Screamer in there, it's like, oh, I gotta
you gotta
survive for
use
that
it.
turn, yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, anytime a draft format has those 1-0, 2-1 kind of games, it's pretty good.
Mm, mm. I can't lie. I've also been. It's like a good use of time, right? Because pre-release and Nat season do care about Monarch Limited. So shout out to
Mhm.
LSS real quick for bringing it back. I never would have gone out of my way to try Monarch Limited if they hadn't roped it into this story they're telling with Monarch to Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
So it's been great. Like truly, I never would have experienced this if not for them to push it that way. So whether it was really just because they needed to move a bunch of unlimited Monarch product, who
yeah,
knows? Who
I
knows?
like
But
that
I have
theory. It's
enjoyed
kind
it.
of
I
funny.
have enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
design a whole set around pushing older cards.
Mm-hmm.
Big
Mm-hmm.
brain, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. You mentioned streams. Are you part of that new what's it called? They just did the new event this weekend. Did you have a part of that?
Oh, this weekend AGE events, or do you mean last weekend with Savage Feats?
Yeah. I was trying to find that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm friends with Justin Liwag, who runs the AGE event series. He has been an amazing mentor from the early days. I really love what they do. They're based out of California, so they're as of now we're like kind of region based. I mean, I'll travel anywhere, I guess, but that guy he hella owns the West Coast,
Mm.
so he's doing a great job. I love to see it. And then Savage Feats, the other one. That one is mine.
Okay,
That
good.
one
Yeah,
is me
I
and
thought.
Nathan
Yeah, I figured
Dolman.
it
Yes,
was
yes.
you and who? Sorry.
Nathan Dolman, if you know Savage Land News,
Okay, yeah.
the another he's another brute YouTuber, specifically Reinar. But he and I partnered up to launch Savage Feats pretty much in the eve of the last Pro Tour. Had some issues, and he was a good friend. We were just hanging out, and kind of decided that together we could, make streaming a legitimate business venture.
For sure.
Granted, not one that really makes money, but one that can hopefully be self-sustaining and
Yeah,
not
definitely.
have a lot of feel bad moments and just kind of lift it off my back where I didn't feel so personally attached to the successes or failures of this thing and it would just be its own entity. So I think that's been going great. And we do have another event coming up, Battle Hardened Cincy. It's actually the release weekend of Dust Till Dawn. It's going to be insane.
That's huge. That's huge.
Insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I checked out that was the inaugural stream of Savage Feats, and yeah, people were saying like the audio quality was like very very good, and like I was just watching on my like iPhone speaker, and it sounded great. Like that's when you nail that, like
That's just money.
yeah
I just spent some money.
yeah,
But yeah, thank you.
for sure. So that's, I mean, the sky's the limit there, because yeah, obviously you're gonna have pretty much first coverage of the new stuff, or the new hot stuff going on, and the Monarch Sealed event or the Monarch Draft events and stuff. So that's cool. And then there was a number of Battle Hardens, and there's Vegas, I know, and it seems just like every calendar year, more and more big streamable events are just popping off.
Yeah, I mean, SCGCon gets about one a month. I think they take like maybe 2 or 3 months off during the year. And SCGCon is really where I have the most room to do streams because normally like the coverage is up to the TO, right? And the tournament organizer. And for these smaller circuit events, like whether it's like a little 1K, like a Realm 5K, or like the Battle Hardened 2Ks, those for the most part are like a little bit too small of a budget for the TO to care about going out of their way for coverage for the most part. Realm has definitely built up, like they've got now a pretty mobile solution that they, I think, debuted at Pittsburgh recently, which was really cool to see. But the battle hardens across the board that are run by SEGCon don't get any streaming funding specifically. Not from LSS, not from SEG. That's just by design. The tournaments are too small. So my niche is, in theory, being able to go and travel to those because they're mostly East Coast. I think the farthest away from me is like in Texas, and I don't know why they go all the way to freaking Texas, but most of them are within like 5 hours driving. And so I can go to like an event per month and not really tax myself too much logistically to do it, show up, stream the event, and everyone's the better for it. You know, because otherwise these events, which because it's an official SEG run tournament, like they will get good numbers. They will have 100+ player battle hardens that if a store ran it independently, you know, maybe we'd be looking at like 40 or something. But because it's an SEG con, it's attracting more players. It's advertised well. And my goal has always been get those on camera then. You know, like why miss it? And if I could figure out a way to do it like effectively, high production quality, cheap enough that it's feasible like long term, not break myself like for it, you know, like some of the early days I had way too much ambition. Now I kind of understand where the battle hardens live and how much effort can really go in. But also I've gotten a lot better at making what is probably hard if you're just starting a lot easier, just have more experience, right? So I'm pretty happy now with the like level of product that I can consistently push out off of just a mobile rig. I mean, like it's just these boxes, you know? I take those 3 boxes with me and I can put out a Savage Feats production.
Wow.
And it's not tough. Like at least the production part of it, casting and finding good talent for that, it's its own beast. I'm still trying to learn the reins on that front because I can't do it all. I've tried that as well, casting and producing. No,
Yeah,
it's too much. It's too much.
Like Kanye West, you can't be a rapper and a producer, but you can prove them all wrong. You've been through a lot. Like you had that whole internet thing. You tried to get like the phone and like it didn't work. And then like it switched back just in time to like still not work or something, like crazy shit. Right?
There's been so many sagas. I don't think anyone can understand just how stressful these things are when you, first of all, like I don't have a lot of money. I literally don't have a job right now. So like there's first and foremost, like you know, self-funding things is tough when you also need to just like live.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to traveling, going out of your way to put on an event and having like one piece of it fail, but it being a piece so critical that, you know, it risks just like ruining the whole event, like internet obviously being the first and foremost, like the most important piece, right? Doing everything you can to try to fix it, break your phone contract plan, switch to a new provider, stay up to like 3 a.m. trying to call and download a digital SIM, and then in the morning it's not working, and then like just everything just keeps getting worse. It's a very stressful situation because nowhere in that can I rest easy. It's just a waiting game of like, okay, when can I call the rep again? When can I, you know, test the internet again? When can I like get back to the venue? When can I like, it never feels like it comes easy until now. Now there's a really good internet solution that actually Team Ascent has basically partnered with the stream to like, you know, become a sponsor in and of providing this amazing mobile router. So hopefully those solutions or that solution will stick and I don't have to worry about internet going forward, because that was just something I was really gated by. It's very expensive to start all these new contracts and like buy the equipment itself right straight up. So I'd been trying things on phones. They were super finicky. I tried a couple more expensive options and returned them in the window where I could get a full refund, but you can only do that so many times. Like I was running out of options, and so thank goodness, Team Ascent is pretty incredible.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. You went through hell and back. You got your streaming on lock. You got the rig. You got the boxes. You got the internet. That's pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited for Savage Feats.
The card is Savage Feast.
Yeah.
The production company is Savage Feats.
Yeah, that's good.
Clever, right?
That's very good. Run by a Rhino head and a Levia head. Perfect. So it's time to talk about what you're most excited for as we head into Dusk Till Dawn. The hype is building. The spoilers are spoiling.
Very slowly. I'd love to see more.
It's a very slow drip. What are you looking forward to, and what are you pumped about?
Well, I'm looking forward to everyone's reaction to my spoiler card because there is so much hype around Levia. Thank God.
Yeah,
she finally matters. This girl right here.
Oh yeah.
The teaser text connected to Diabolic Offering, February's spoiler that came out like yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. The whole Levia redeemed and what that means. I can't comment on exactly what that means, but people are right to be very, very excited. And some of the wild theories and speculations on it are people are going deep. I mean, light shadow brute,
yeah,
combination hybrid. Okay, let's sure, let's see that.
Up, yeah,
we've seen dual assassin ranger. Why not dual light shadow? Whatever. But I really want to know how people react when they do find out what it is. I've been following closely. No one's quite right. Not quite right. Well, some people are kind of right, but no one's close because it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. So I'm really stoked for that specifically. I want to see how the community reacts. But apart from that, I mean, any shadow spoiler is going to have me excited. I don't know beyond what my card is, anything else about the set. So I still need to know more about these Levia cards, about whether she has defensive play patterns. Like, is that support she's getting? I mean, we know Vincent is called Iron Maiden now. That sounds pretty defense oriented. We haven't seen her offhand yet. So maybe Shadow gets a new injection of support that is just strictly defense. That's awesome.
Interesting.
I would hope that's a thing because Shadow, as of now, when you play with Blood Debt, it's almost forcing you to be aggressive, right? Like when you play into Blood Debt, it now means you are giving up our opportunities that other heroes have of being able to fully block out, make decision points where I'm going to block for 3, set up Arsenal, build into a pivot turn. You just aren't allowed to make those choices as a Shadow hero. So to then explore instead, okay, we don't get that play pattern, but maybe we can still juice defensive somewhere else. And now it's about playing our cards defensively. That could be interesting. I would love it. I mean, defensive Levia is not really possible with a Blood Debt shell. You can't merge the two yet. So that's what I'm most excited about. I'd love to see if that's possible, if that is coming at all.
Yeah, we have the Unity thing too. You never know what Unity for a Shadow hero might produce or help out with.
I don't think we're going to see Unity for Shadow heroes. That the way that they've been giving us the spoilers in this set, it's very story driven, right? So the early release of those Unity cards was telling the story of like why the Arya heroes are joining the battle. And now this week we're getting the light centered conflict on Friday, and then we're getting like the Shadow, I guess, offensive, whatever, on Sunday. So I think the Unity is kind of like said and done. The only one we don't know is Prism from the United We Stand card. So that one makes sense, right? Like that's going to be tied to, I guess, the bigger light reveals later. But I don't think we'll see it for the Shadow heroes at all. There aren't enough of like this band of friendlies coming together for the Shadow side. There's just Reinar didn't make the trip over, Levi's alone.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have a different mechanic entirely than for like attacking with something else on the chain already, or that's kind of like ninja-y and combo-y, but
I don't know.
I don't know that.
Right. Yeah, something PvE oriented could make sense. where if it is just a small injection of like PvE support, something that just references, like if another, like you said, maybe if you attack and you have another shadow hero in your party, extra trigger of who knows what. I could see that just because for the PvE side of things, shadow is left out as of now. So it could make sense.
Yeah, but it's cool. I'm incredibly excited for Shadow because Chain is what got me into the game pretty much. Because like Soul Shackles and like banishing the right cards and like having that like just create like 7-card hands when you get like a good shackle. You know what I mean? Like the end game is fun too. Like okay, you have all these tools and now you need like the action points and the go-agains and you need to stack things right. So yeah, I played Chain into the ground until I couldn't. But
rightfully so, by the way. Yeah, it's cool to talk about 7-card hands. It's also broken, Brandon. Jesus.
I mean, yeah, it's it was fun and it made sense to me. But yeah, I'm pumped for the spoilers. I'm pumped for how Vincett's going to be different than Chain. I do like that she can ideally wipe like an entire board of ward with just like one single rune chant, can just like shatter the entire other side of the illusions. Board. Like that's pretty insane to think about. Like it's pretty hard.
I think there's got to be some way for Prism to play around those moments. Otherwise, like I don't see how a ward deck is ever real. It almost would feel like they're overriding their own rules because ward is ward and unpreventable is unpreventable, but there has to be some counter that's more easy access to Prism, or there are just these like auto win mechanics. Oh, a Shuko trigger went through. Everything's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, Vincent just like paid for the rune chain. Everything's gone. So unless Prism does just generate ward allies like crazy, maybe that's how it balances out where like it's not that hard to just spam a new board of 3. A lot of questions still, but Fino seems to be very excited about his Prism spoiler and the hero text of Prism. I think like what is it? Awakener of Soul is her
the adult
title. Yeah, which we still don't know what she does. So supposedly stuff.
So 2 different full titles most of the time imply different hero power, but who knows? Hopefully, maybe, but hopefully they'd stick with the 32 life it would have.
Yeah, that's also an unknown, right? If it really isn't the same hero, then they don't need to make it 32. That's just been an assumption.
Yeah.
So Fino did mention that he is spoiling the entirety of Prism as well. So I don't know when his spoiler's set for, but he's got a card plus the Prism.
Nice.
So we'll get a lot all at once.
That's that's gonna be sparking a lot of conversation, I'm sure. The return of the Light Illusionist. Crazy card pool. You got the blue auras now too. But yeah, there's a big focus on allies. So that's pretty cool. I never thought of like a Rake the Embers, but for like, well, I guess they can make like 3 spectral shields and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we still just have a lot of questions. We haven't seen. Oh gosh, what's the Luminaris reference? Is it the new one?
There's heralds and like fragments.
Yeah, we still don't have confirmation of like what those are, but yeah, it could be remarkably easy to just spam and flip, but don't know. I was never even like too afraid of Spectre coming back in some light capacity. I mean, being a brute player, you do have in theory scab skins to get around it.
Yeah.
But to go completely away from the Spectre design space, I almost can't even picture. Like in my head, that's just Dromai. So I can't speculate with this one for you. I'm so far removed from Light Illusionist Prism space. I've never played her.
Yeah,
she's not for me. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, I was always a Shadow guy. I did play some Bolton, but yeah.
Oh, sure. He's fun. I can't wait. Bolton for me is a really good starter hero. He's got like almost anytime I would introduce people to Flesh and Blood, I would bring a dash deck for anyone who used to play Magic. They like the idea of permanence. And then a Bolton deck because that showed some of the like nuanced mechanics when you start adding light, right? And you could explain kind of the in 7 years trajectory of the game where talents get added, blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always introduce new players with that when I worked in my LGS, and it was a fantastic starter experience because you have very like minor interaction that you start to appreciate as being that one life difference, right? Whereas I'm blocking and I'm giving them +1. At first, it doesn't feel like a big deal, so no problem. But then you start to realize, oh my god, I'm single digits. Like the +1 hurts, And so I have a soft spot in Bolton, soft spot in my heart for Bolton. I taught so many new people how to play Flesh and Blood and have them fall in love with Flesh and Blood off of the back of that hero. I want him to get good. I'd love it.
But it seems like Bolton is kind of like in a Kano situation where like if he has too many things, then it's just like, big soul, limited combo, and then like the reaction that just can like +X for everything you banish from your soul. Like if you can pump those crazy cards with like some more synergies, it can get like really crazy.
Yeah, but Centauri's is not like a real. That's not actually Bolton. That's just a
I know.
It's just an OTK deck.
Yeah,
it's so boring. I'm not a fan of that. I would love like thematic Bolton.
Yeah,
light warrior Bolton, charge focused, taking bad rate turns into amazing rate turns, like an actual tempo game plan like that. That's what I want out of Bolton.
Yeah,
to just a big fan juice up the consistency of Centauri's and make that combo even more degen, and then like you said, just always threaten Beacon of Victory.
Yeah.
Who wants? I don't want to play that game. It sounds like boring as hell. But whatever.
Yeah.
So far, the support doesn't seem to really favor that deck, but at the same time, like that deck just likes cards that block 3 while it waits.
I know, isn't it interesting?
It's new cards do block 3, so
yeah. The first time someone played that against me, I was like, really, we're doing this? But I mean, Luminous Ascension is like one of the most badass cards in the game. When like you're playing Raiden Bolton, it just like feels just so much more right because like you get the free 0 for 3 swing. It's all cool and thematic instead of like just going out of left field because these cards exist and you can do this cool thing.
I mean, Bolton's payoff cards are incredible. The ceiling that he can achieve on his like big turns is unreal. I mean, at the end of the day, like most of it is raw damage, but it doesn't come from nowhere. You sacrificed bad rate turns of charging a soul, like going -1 on your card to pull off your big stuff, and it's a really unique play pattern. And I think it's a really healthy one. It's not just like Ranger style of I drew Rain Razors 3 of a kind. Here we go.
Yeah.
You can't just like draw that hand with Bolton. It's very reliant on stuff like Tunic counter, right? For a lot of the Raiden game plans, you want like the take flight off, or like V the Vanguard take flight. Like that off Tunic is massive for how you need to use your hand. Having adequate soul to go wide enough, like all that matters, and it doesn't come from a singular turn. And I'm a huge fan of that design space for Flesh and Blood. Don't make it a game where you just draw cards. The cards are better than your opponent's cards, and you win.
Yep.
Make a game plan that you're executing. Like work into how you're actually playing turn cycles and getting some payoff and then beating your opponent that way in a more interactive pattern. Perfect.
Yeah, isn't that like so satisfying when you're playing and like you like throw something down and your opponent's just like thinking hard and like goes through like these 2 cards like face down, no, maybe these 2 cards, and he's just like thinking like hard.
I love it.
I'm like, yeah, this is good. Like we're playing Fab, and like whatever I'm doing is causing him like mental stress and like turmoil about like what decision to make. And like
the best feeling on like that even splinters off from that is when you're throwing like not a really relevant card, so like some non-hit effect, whatever, but your opponent like cares that much about like min-maxing their hand where sure it's like not hit effect damage, but if they like really want to consider like saving 3 HP or not, and you're over there like this card does nothing, like I'm not really presenting anything, but your opponent's like still tanking. Oh, it's so good. That's like limited experience right there. That's what limited feels like. I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
That's very true. Yeah, because it's kind of in CC, the way you design your deck, you can do something with whatever amount of cards your opponent leaves you most of the time.
Mhm.
But in sealed, it's like, okay, this absolutely has to attack because it's like the only red attack I have in my hand. Like, it would be stupid not to. That's okay. Well, this is my pitch card, and then, oh yeah, should I block or not block, and stuff like that. But
Oh,
yeah, even those
great fundamentals.
those nonsensical things where it's like, yeah, do I just eat 3 or not? But then like your life is low. You start at 20 or less, so you get down to that like Kadachi lock and just that weird nebulous like 2 or 1 life left like so quick, and you're like, well, now damn, like now I have to throw like 3 2 blocks in front of something just to like save my life now because I made that that small sacrifice earlier. So yeah, Outsider Sealed has definitely like been those like close games most of the time. There's no like especially in draft, there's not too many like wombo combo like feels bad turns. It's usually like a good back and forth and like
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every one of those decks can't just ignore you. None of those decks play like Fi, unless you draft like a crazy ninja deck. You can't just be Fi and say no blocks. I have enough damage to kill you in 3 turns. Like do something. A very very interactive game. And if you want more of it, there was that Savage Feats broadcast. The send off to Outsiders. And those were some fantastic games. Almost every game was down to watching even Michael Hamilton, have those nail biter moments of getting this close to losing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to see CC reach a similar state rather than, like 8-minute finals like we had in the Lexi Mirror at Battle Hardened LA last weekend, or the PTI event, whatever it was. But yeah.
So yeah, you got the streaming going on now. How much time are you allowing yourself to like play in these big events, or like you targeting like 1 or 2 of those like big PTI events per year? Like, what are your like goals as like a player now for like the rest of this year?
That's a good question. I basically gave up on traveling to play when I took on more of the streaming roles because streaming felt like I was really I was actively like getting better at, like, I guess it's not a job, but like tuning my skill set, getting better at the production role in a way that was harder to do than improve as like a fab player. As a fab player, especially with Talishar, I feel like I'm able to improve in a way that's not just tied to these big events. So I didn't want to miss opportunities to not improve on production with these events. So I kind of made that split of, okay, when I travel to the Battle Hardens, I'm just going to produce. And I don't feel like I'm actually getting worse as a player because of that. Really all thanks to Talishar. But with Dusk Till Dawn, I now miss being able to just, look at the calendar of events and say, oh, I'm going to play in that one. I'm going to play in that one. I'm going to drive a little bit extra because I want to play in that one. And it's tough. Like, I would love to show up at Battle Hardened Cincinnati, release weekend of of Dusk Till Dawn, new Levia stuff in tow, and play. I would love that. But it matters more for Flesh and Blood as a whole to get coverage of that event. Like, that needs to happen. Coverage of the first Dusk Till Dawn event with Sam and Brody Spurlock casting, like, that has to happen. That's powerful. I can make that happen. So that's what I am going to do. I'm going to choose those opportunities over playing. But I had mentioned about, like, driving a little bit extra, spending a little bit more money to go and play. I am biting the bullet. I am going to go to Battle Hardened Chicago and at least play Levia at that event, which I really shouldn't be spending the money to travel like that right now, but it's the lust for gameplay. Like, I need to put Levia on the table. I need to top 8 with this sucker. She's going to be so good. Those opportunities are few and far between, unfortunately. But the Pro Tours and Worlds, like Nationals, I mean, I don't stream those. I stream a couple callings, I guess. But those I will play in every time, I would assume. I mean, that's what I'm in it for in the long run, right? Like, the chance that maybe I can top or win one of these things and really get in the money.
Oh yeah.
Hell, like, those would pay more than streaming's ever done for me, right? So got to keep that dream alive.
Yeah, that would be huge. Just reaching those top tables, reaching that cutoff for those like streamed finals, and taking home thousands and thousands of dollars. Like they're
Mhm.
dishing out the cash.
It's big money. It's big money.
Yeah.
And I have just like memed my way into some pretty decent finishes. Like I was 2 games away of top 8ing with Reinar at the Pro Tour. Like the worst deck, like one of the worst decks you could play. And I ended up 35th, like crazy.
Dang.
If I just didn't punt a game and then got like a better pairing in another match, like that's a top 8 run. It's not something that, I can probably do consistently. Things have to line up. But it's there. The possibility is there. I just need to do a little bit better than I did last time. And all of a sudden you start getting pretty close to like making it. So I feel pretty good. Like, especially if they nerf Ranger a little bit, Levia gets good stuff beyond just what I know. I will be living in. I mean, that's the perfect timeline for me. I'm ready. I'll win freaking worlds.
Hell
Easy.
yeah. Yeah, that's what's cool about Shadow, because the light heroes get so popular. But if the Shadow has like a good matchup to it, and they can generally have a good matchup to the rest of the field, it's like, why not?
Well, I don't know about Levia, but Chain is a different perspective, my friend. but yeah, Levia has her moment. It's going to be a question of like, does she still live in that just least respected kind of role where most people don't care about practicing the matchup? People think she's a meme, and then you can get those little percentage points where the disrespect is so high that your opponent misplays a little bit. Like, she does need those moments because she isn't actually a very good deck. Like, you can't kid about it. Her numbers suck. Blood Debt is bullshit for her payoff. Like,
yeah.
She's not actually good, and everyone's too slow to pick up on that. That's not what I'm pretending. You do need things to go right, and you need people to disrespect you. And I'm hoping her cards at least catch her up and put her in a vein to compete with how far she's been left behind. Like, to be fair, I don't expect her to go like above and be a clear-cut winner from Dusk Till Dawn, but she's like the worst hero right now. Like, it's not close because her numbers are just not good numbers. And like, how's that make sense? That's the whole point. So you have good numbers, but you have Blood Debt to balance it.
Yeah.
But now you just don't have the best numbers. Like, what?
Yeah.
So we need to get her from here back to like here, like C tier. But if you play her really well and people disrespect you, S tier.
Hell yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
That's the plan, my man. That's cool. Yeah, I'm hoping to make it to the Vegas in August. That seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't qualify for Nats, but I got close. I got a top 8. I was like, cool. I just need to win one game.
Oh, but it's always that last game.
And then it was me versus Lucas Oswald. He's like 18 or 19. He's another young buck doing a lot of damage in the organized play scene. So it's like, oh, well, I've never beaten Lucas in my life, and here's another loss to Lucas. So he knocks me out
he's
of
a scary kid.
Yeah.
I did just join his team. He's on Team Runaways.
Oh, excellent.
And they added me maybe like 2 weeks ago at this point, and I was surprised to see behind these closed doors. You never hear much about like what's going on internally with the team. You just see the deck they bring. That's like, oh, they brought Oldhim, cool. But behind the scenes, a lot goes on. They test a lot of things, and it turns out Lucas is a huge Levia fan. So now it's like my job. I want to get him to play Levia at a premier event. I believe it can happen. He's going to play the best deck, but if I can convince him Levia is the best deck, that kid will win it. Like, I'm sure I can do okay, but that kid, Lucas, is crazy.
He's very good.
And I would put money on him on like Levia, and he does pilot it really well with improvements that are coming from Dusk Till Dawn. Oh my God. Top 8s for days. Probably wins too. I can't wait for it. That's the best timeline. Not what I said before.
Very nice. Yeah, he's formidable. He's a formidable foe. He knocked me out of the top 8 in the RTN. And then I was trying to win my very first armory. I played a lot of armories, but I've never like won the whole thing. So I was 3-0 with Royal Viscerai.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, round 4, I just need to win this and I'm good. And it's Lucas. I'm like, here we go.
Good.
And he was playing Lexi at the time. And so I was just like, I just went full race mode because I knew I was like, okay, this game will be over in 5 minutes and I'll know if I win or lose. And I got him down to 2, but he got me to 0. So
Oh, there it is. There it is. Well, you can't hate that. If you're gonna lose to somebody, he's he at least he earns his wins. He does. He doesn't look into it.
Yeah.
But dang, man, at least, so if you're headed to Vegas, does that mean you'll play in the calling at least, or
Yeah, definitely.
grind for tickets? What do you think?
Definitely want to play in the calling and whatever's going on Sunday, like Battle Hardened or whatever else is going on. So I figured I was gonna like do like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and come back like on Monday sometime.
Yeah,
Make a little trip.
that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, my family loves Vegas. My dad, he's like, what dates are you going out to Vegas again for Flesh and Blood? I was like, August, late August. He's like, I'm gonna go too. I'll stay at a different hotel, but I'll hang out and you'll see me around. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, like any excuse, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go.
Nice. My only like Vegas goal is to go to, what is it called, like Gordon Ramsay's steak. He's probably got like 2 or 3 places, but
Yeah.
That's my like one goal now as an adult. It's like I want to go buy a nice Gordon Ramsay steak.
That'd be cool.
So you'll see me there. That's if I
Excellent.
scrub out the event, I'm going right to Gordon Ramsay steak.
The good news,
way too much money.
Yeah, the good news is you could go 0 and X. You can never win the whole weekend, but you're in Vegas, man.
That's a win.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's gonna be fun. Very curious to see what's gonna go down after hours. On each night of the tournament.
Yeah. The LSS staff. Actually, well, it's US Nets, so I don't know if they're really gonna like make it out for net. Probably not. But they party hard. If they made their way to Vegas at any point, you probably seen them like falling out of a helicopter. Like they go crazy. But I don't think they're gonna make it to US Nets. That's too bad. We'll still show. We'll have a good time though, regardless.
Yeah, I went to Australia for 6 weeks for work a few years ago, and the Australians can drink. They drink early and often, and they party. And you can drink till like 6 or 7 in the morning there. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And the food is way better than American food. Even McDonald's tasted like gourmet. Like the McChickens were like fat and flaky and meaty, and I was just like, what is going on here? It's a magical place. I'm sure New Zealand is similar but different, but that'd be cool to go over there sometime and play some Flesh and Blood.
Sure. I mean, I think they said at some point that hosting like the Pro Tour and Worlds there logistically would just be the worst.
Yeah.
But I think we all love the game enough that we would deal with terrible logistics just to go to where it was birthed from. I would. You probably couldn't get me to go back home after the fact either. I would just stay there. So most people probably would.
I know. Yeah, I would. It's lovely. So, is there anything else you want to talk about? Like, you want to end on something? Do you have any announcements or just things you wanted to point out?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of ran the gamut of like all the interesting Flesh and Blood things as of late, but yeah, I mean, if you want to tune in for the hottest Dusk Till Dawn gameplay ever, I mean, literally release weekend, I'm hoping people have new decks. There is a chance that like no one has cards yet, and it's just not that interesting. I'm hoping that's not what happens. At minimum, Oldhim is gone, and there will be, in theory, a ban list. So that's a shift. Like that will make the meta different. Will we see people turn quickly to Dusk Till Dawn? I hope so. Regardless, that coverage will be coming to you live from Savage Feats with Sam O'Byrne, who you just saw last weekend at AGE, and Brody Spurlock, who you just saw win like the last 9 events, actually taking a break for once.
Oh, wow.
And casting. I convinced him. I said, Brody, you gotta let someone else win, man. You gotta. I'll put you in the booth. How about that? And he accepted.
Wow.
So that'll be a great event. July 15th. And then if you want to see the best spoiler, July 2nd, midnight release. Levia may be redeemed. Maybe something different. But it's a big deal, and it's coming pretty soon. So yeah, tune in for that's all I got. I stream sometimes. I don't even know. Oh, actually, no, this is unique. This Saturday, July 1st, I'll be doing a stream with the Talishar devs. They wanted to show off some of what goes in to the coding of new cards and like how much they bust ass, to get the new cards playable. So we're gonna just hang out, go over spoilers, and watch them code. Which is gonna be a mystery to me. I don't know how to freaking code, but I'd love to show it off for them. They put in a lot of work. So that's all I got. Some cool stuff though.
That's exciting, seeing how it's made and what goes into it. And I mean, it's a tool used by thousands of players at this point. It's like the way for people to grind and jam and test and try new things without having to find like going through all their bulk boxes like, oh, where's those 3 copies of Rune Flash? Like,
that's the worst, dude. Worst. I even have my stuff sorted and like you can't pay me to build a deck, man. I was like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. I got some bulk mountain going on, and the case just kind of casing out over there. So
what case is that? What you got?
That was
Seal?
Outsiders.
Okay.
That was the case I bought. And I was so excited for. It was a Japan print, and I got absolutely nothing. I got like nothing at all from those 4 boxes.
Oh my god!
Like,
so you had to stick to Belgium so that you could just open like 40 legendaries.
Yeah, I wish it was
easy,
Belgium.
Dude.
Belgium.
Easy.
But yeah, I was like all excited. I was like recording it. I had like my lights and camera all set up. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna pull something crazy, dog.
Codex,
and like three boxes in, like just absolutely nothing. And like my kids like kept like knocking stuff over and like knocking my tripod over. But it'd be some fun footage to revisit and make like a blooper reel or something.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, any box you open a Dustledon, you gotta be recording because if you hit one of the artist proofs, like what?
Yeah.
those they're not One Ring level. Like that's its own deal. But it's still gonna be insane if you actually open one of those. I'm already telling myself it's not gonna happen. I don't want any expectation there that it's gonna be me. If it is, holy crap! But I don't think it will be. But yeah, any box I open, I'm gonna have at least a camera running just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case, Whew.
Yeah, 10 chain, 10 prism. Hand drawn. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm really excited that each set they give like that. They have like their little Easter egg of like, oh, you can get a Marvel Dragon. Oh, cold foil and extended art equipment. Full art character cards, and then now it's hand drawn artist proofs plus all that other stuff like
and Marvels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really cool, like the things they keep adding and like the freshness of like just cracking packs. You never know, especially like when you get like your little 1 pack in an armor. You're like, oh, this could be. Well, I mean,
hey, it happened recently. The last pack I opened had a library in it.
Nice.
I out of the prize packs of a Monarch draft. It's like I won my last round. Cool. Here's a pack per win. Boop. Library.
Jeez.
Only a rainbow foil, but still, like, come on, that's
for
insane.
Real. Yeah,
insane.
That's cool.
And it might go up. That's one of the ones very relevant. Could be a crazy expensive card soon. So
I know, because I mean, an extra intellect.
And then almost no decks still run yellows to really counter it, right? Like
I know there's so many lists where they have like 3 yellows in the whole 60 type of thing. So it's like that library's sticking out there, man.
Probably. As a brute player, like Levia player, it is a card that you can pretty happily interact with, and you actually like it. The fun interaction. You discard 2 yellows, so Levia gets to just graveyard fill, trigger Beast within, trigger Mark of the Beast, get a deep rooted in graveyard.
Yeah,
like it's good.
Yeah,
like you play library against it, do it. It's a non-block most of the time. You put it out there. It's not the worst. Like so. Actually, don't air this part because then the prison players will stop playing against me.
Yeah,
That's good.
the secret tech.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. I can't thank you enough for hopping on and doing this on a whim and making it a great, solid first show. You are one of the golden boys of the Fab content creator community. You're a mainstay.
That's
Everyone
crazy.
knows your face. You know, you're showing up all over the world, playing Fab, showing us Fab, and I'm sure the community appreciates you, man. And
Thank you.
It'll keep growing.
That means a lot. I mean, like I literally do it for the community. As you know as well, there is not money. There's not even like tangible fame, attached to content creation. But we love the game, right? And the community deserves a lot because it's full of amazing people, and that's what keeps me going at least. So thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes,
I got
really
to do
appreciate it.
Fab stuff all day. I streamed. I did the podcast.
Hell
Worked
yeah.
on my spoiler videos. Like 24 hours of Fab. Let's go.
Yep. And shout out to Flesh and Blood Twitter, the best Twitter space around. I never even used Twitter before Flesh and Blood, and like I totally made my account centered around it, and the connections I made, the people I've met, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome. The players, the streamers, the creators. It's a good time to be a Flesh and Blood player. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Dude, Dust Till Dawn. Buy a box, pull a freaking hand-drawn artist proof, make $1 million. You can do it. Easy.
Hell yeah, brother.